I just write every day as long as I can until it's finished. My favourite occupation, apart from writing, is probably strolling. And I think that's it's not walking fast, it's just wandering, strolling. And so if I have to fill an hour or two, I might just go for a stroll. So I think strolling is what I like doing best. You think when you're strolling, you see, and you see things and you hear things, so you are sort of working, even though you're, being a bit self-indulgent. Let me read this bit, okay? "What would you say to me, sir?" Brodie asked. "There are many obstacles between me and this young woman, this young singer. Am I wasting my time? Is she free to be with you?" She's living with another man." The doctor nodded and smiled. "I could give you lots of excellent, sensible advice based on long experience," he said. "But what would be the point? You'll do exactly what you want to do. Nothing I say will make any difference." It's very hard to say what it is that triggers that sense of attraction, whether it's a kind of lust or whether it's just a kind of recognition. And I think human beings know when that occurs, actually, and they can ignore it or they can respond to it. But I think there's something very instinctive about an exchange, and maybe it's a look, maybe there's something about a face. You see 1,000 faces in a day. Why does one face draw your eye or draw your heart? Love is Blind is about being in a state of rapture, about being enraptured, and so it's about obsessive love. That kind of love, it's one-way traffic. That kind of obsessive love, there's no guarantee that it's coming back in the same manner. "Look at your love for me, it's blind. You don't see me as I really am, all the many nuances of Lika bloom, the light and the dark. You just see the light, you just see what you want to see. That's just love," he said, "not blindness." Love is Blind took the same process as almost all of my novels, in that I get a very simple idea and it seizes my imagination. And then I spend about 2 years doing a kind of long question and answer with myself. And I do research, I maybe travel, I buy books, I buy photographs, I buy maps. And I spend twice as long thinking about the book I'm going to write as I do writing it. And the process seems to take about 3 years. 2 years of thinking, 1 year of writing. I don't need very much to write, actually. I need a room. I write in longhand. My first draft is, I write myself, so I need a pen and a piece of paper or a book to write in, and that's basically it. Because I'm an imaginative writer and I send my imagination out on these journeys, I can sit in a room with a pen and a piece of paper, and that's all I need to write a novel. I always write my first drafts by hand, in ink, pen and ink, on lined paper. I think this is because I'm a pre-computer writer. I bought a typewriter when I was 21, but I've always written my first drafts in my own handwriting. I can write pretty much anywhere, I think. When I first started writing, I used to write in university libraries, with lots of other people around me, coming and going. So I don't need to be alone. I don't need total silence. If I'm writing, I'll answer the telephone or I'll go to the door. But now I have a study in this house where I write, and in my house in France, I have a very interesting room. It's a kind of library, but it's painted blue, a very vivid Yves Klein blue, so it's just like a blue cell, and I write there as well. But I can write in a cafe or on a terrace or on a plane, but I prefer to write in one of these two rooms. I have routines when I write, particularly when I'm writing a novel. I write every day, 7 days a week. I can write for about 3 hours without stopping. After 3 hours, I'm very tired. When I was younger, I could write for 6 hours, but as I get older, I find my brain begins to feel tired. I can then read or correct, but the act of creation seems to me to only last for 3 hours at the moment. The doctor reflected and then said, "I always think a life without complications isn't really a life, you know. In life things go wrong, nothing stays the same, and there's nothing you can do about it. Friends betray you, family is a nightmare, lovers are fickle. This is the norm, no?" He smiled to himself as if remembering something pertinent. What kind of a world would it be where nothing ever went wrong, where everything stayed the same, life followed its designated path, family was adorable, friends and lovers were faithful and true? He paused. "You know, I don't think I'd like that kind of a world. We're made for complications, we human beings." My chief characteristic is, I think I'd say I'm very easygoing. I'm not a very extravagant person, but I suppose my most extravagant problem is that I buy too many books. I'm not really interested in possessions. I don't have anything particularly valuable. I have some paintings I like very much, but I actually think that my most treasured possession and the thing that would most upset me if it was destroyed is my diary, which I've been keeping since I was 19 years old. So it's a huge document, many, many notebooks, but it is the story of my life told by me. Nobody else reads it. Well, I don't really believe in reincarnation, but if I was to come back as a person or a thing, something that could fly, like an eagle or something like that, would be quite intriguing. I'm not a poet, though I read masses of poetry, but I've started putting poetry into my novels, so I sneak it in, you know. This is actually a parody of, or a pastiche of this English poet Swinburne. It's not by him, it's by me, but it's very Swinburnian. Shall I read it? Yeah. "We shone as the stars shone and moved as the moon moved, twain halves of a perfect heart. Soul to soul, you loved me as I thee loved, and our dreams began, dreaming our life would start." When it comes to happiness, my idea of happiness, I'm a great believer in the old phrase, carpe diem, seize the day. So if all's going well, my idea of happiness is the here and now. Don't think back, don't think ahead, live in the moment.